opening.
We were recording. Thank you, Max.
Nice wet opening.
I call it wham.
Welcome, everyone. I hate you so much right now. Welcome to our second podcast video here. Welcome, we are Specular Board Games, and this is our perSPECtive video. I got again with me my co-host Keegan Cole. How you doing, Keegan?
Good.
Yeah.
Tired. It's been a week, but
Yeah.
always good.
Okay. Have you gotten any new games recently?
Hell yeah, I did. I got Luna Deluxe.
Okay.
Stefan Feld game that TMG just released, and then I also picked up 3 Kingdoms Redux for 50% off. So that was
Dang,
pretty good.
nice.
Pretty good thing.
That's been sitting in my shelf of opportunity for a while.
What do I gotta play?
Shelf of opportunity.
Nice your version.
Yes. And we got a third person here sitting next to me. You guys might. God, he's very on tonight.
I apologize in advance.
You might recognize him from our other review videos. I got Max Simmons here with me. Max, how you doing?
I'm functioning.
Great, barely.
I got my Christmas cup.
I see that. Well, we're glad to have you here on our weekly perSPECtive chats. So this week we're going to be doing a little bit more of a controversial topic, one that'll be a little bit more heated than, say, our last video. I know 2 of my games on this list you both like, so this will be interesting. Also, the camera's moving a lot. So this week is games we think are overrated. But before we do that, let's get to know Max a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Come on, you knew this was coming.
I was not prepared.
You're not very good. You were not supposed to be. Keegan, feel free to chime in to ask questions here too. But Max, when did you start getting into board games?
I kind of always, I used to play chess with my dad, so
Okay.
I guess that was probably the start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then
What age was that?
6, 7, 8, something like that.
Okay.
Probably throughout the, and he would never let me win. So
Good dad.
it was like prison chess. He had a lot of time in the clink to learn how to play, and he was brutal. Good dad, but yeah, he didn't go easy on me. So yeah.
Are you doing that to your son? No, but
Not
your son
yet.
kicks your butt at.
Yeah, we point salad. Although I did just, Scott told me another game, some dice game he got recently, with, anyway, to play with Wolfie. So, but we will do chess eventually. He's still a little young for that, I think. Then I got into Warhammer fantasy battles, and I've just kind of always been into it. But then I didn't really know about sort of the mod, I kind of played games off and on, like high school was a lot of video games. And then I played, somebody showed me Puerto Rico, and I played Puerto Rico and then Catan.
Of course.
And I was like, oh, these are interesting, but oddly enough, it wasn't until several years ago I saw a game called Citadels. And I bought Citadels, and I played it with some people, and then I was like, I have to find more games like this. There has to be more, and that started me down the dark side of obsessively
the addiction road.
Yes, yeah, and it's been ever since. So I blame Citadels. I played like Zombicide and some other games like that, but it wasn't. For some reason, Citadels clicked, and then I started delving deep into finding and buying games. So it's always been there, but the last several years in our three's relationship has definitely made it a lot worse.
That's fair. Yeah.
And now we're doing this, so
And now, hey, I mean,
not slowing down anytime soon.
no. Tell us some of the games on your shelf of opportunity right now.
I don't have that many.
You don't have any.
I just got
Wow,
one
man.
knocked down yesterday. I just bought Calico, and I played it twice. Love it. I can't wait to make you play it. I think
Okay.
the only other game that has ever made me like you when you're playing it, I describe it as like the game of, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Just like Tiny Towns is like
And
that.
like Pipeline.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Maybe not as brutal as those two, but close. It is
Okay.
deceptively sadistic in its look. 'Cause it's just got cute kitties and it looks like a family game, and it is a brain burner.
Okay.
But I don't. Let me think. War of the Ring is still on.
Okay. Still on
I painted it up. I've had it for like 2 years. That's still on my list. And what? No, I played Raw. Played Bruges. I'm trying to think of all the games I got recently that. Maybe Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. And Mythos Tales, which are kind of the similar thing, more like the Legacy or and King's Dilemma. Those are still
All
on my
right. Yeah, we did
shelf
get
of
that
opportunity.
one.
So like Legacy games or like solo-y or two-person sort of. So yeah, those are
Okay.
mostly what I have.
Sherlock is so good, you gotta play it.
I know. I've played the first one. I've played a couple of it, but I haven't finished it because I got it thinking my wife would play it with me, and she hasn't. So I need to get my second wife to play it with me.
Okay. And what is your collection up to now?
I gave it like a cursory look the other day. I think it's between like 70 or 80 games. I, unlike you two, go through phases of culling and selling, and
I mean, Keegan goes through a lot of culling
That's
with
true.
his,
That's true.
and yet he's still like, it's still growing. Yeah, one goes and you get two.
right, yeah. Well, and I also just more recently got into smaller games. I was kind of biased that like smaller games suck. And I won't buy like 2-player games, and then I started to and was like, oh, I was an idiot. These 2-player games are great, and some of those small box games are really fun. They can pack a lot in them. So
Yeah.
I purchased several of those over the last bit. So that's definitely added because they don't take up as much space as like War of the Ring or Rising Sun or those games.
Sure.
It's not like 3 giant boxes.
Yeah.
It's made my. I count like 5 of those as one game though. Can you consider like Deep Sea Adventure from
The little
games?
yeah.
Is that
I mean,
like?
it's a
I guess it's a game. Yeah.
micro game. Yeah.
So I'm at probably about 75, give or take.
Okay.
So not too bad.
Do you have a favorite game of all time?
Oh, that's the worst question in the world.
It's so difficult.
Like 2 or 3 games
Right.
that are just like really high up there for you.
Right. Feast for Odin is one of them. I probably have to say Gloomhaven, even though like I'm kind of burnt out on it. Like the amount of stuff and camaraderie I had playing that game probably is one of the best games I've played. And then I've been falling in love with Stefan Feld, so maybe Trajan is up there. I don't know if it'll stick, but I love trying to solve that Mancala puzzle. I'm not good at it, but I like it. So
It's fair. How long did you guys play Gloomhaven for?
probably about 1.5 years, or well, we're technically still playing it, but we're kind of on hiatus because of COVID. Also, yeah, we finished we unlocked just about every single thing in that game. I want to say we unlocked everything, but there's probably something we didn't do. But and then we'd started the Forgotten Circles, but we didn't finish that. So we still have some we can do once life gets back to normal. But by that point, Frosthaven will probably be here, and I'll be doing that with you. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
Forgotten Circles might just be forgotten. Didn't.
So I saw that you had commented on our last video, but give us the your top 5 games to play as 2 players.
Top 5 games to play as 2 players.
Yeah.
Right. What was my list? Bulb YouTube. No. I can think of it. I think I said this might not be in order, but Blitzkrieg.
Okay.
By Paulo More is like a 2-player tug of war game, and then I got Spear Island on there. I really like to play that 2-player. It's probably best at 3 maybe, but 2-player goes a little bit faster and it's really fun. I also put on. Oh man, what was my other 2 games I put on there?
It's Spirit Island. I was debating putting on the list for today.
For overrated?
For overrated.
I'd have to hit you.
It didn't quite make it up high enough.
I can't remember my 4th one that I put on there for 2-player games. Did I put Mancala? I can't remember what I put. And then I know Battle Line was my number one.
Okay.
That
which the other similar one is the Shoten Toten.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's the same game, isn't it? Yeah. By the Dr. Reiner Knizia.
That's right.
I recently got that a couple months ago, and everyone I showed it to's liked it, and it's just like you can just play so many quick games. I've debated getting a copy for at work so that me and Aiden can play at lunch. Just like knock out a game of that like over peanut butter toast and coffee. But I don't want to dirty my like regular copy with my mechanic's hands. So
that's fair. Keegan, you got any other questions you want to ask?
What's your star sign? What do you like to do when it's nice and cool outside around
like
the autumn time?
long walks.
Pumpkins stare at you, ghosts whispering sweet nothings in your ear.
Long walks on the beach in the moonlight.
In the fall? Walk on the beach.
Preferably with Michael Myers trailing behind, stalking me. Yes,
of course.
Donkey!
Wait for Wayne's World following behind you.
Yeah. I don't know what my sign is. I don't know what my star is. And I like horror movies.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I remembered to wear my good shirt today.
Okay.
Ready to get angry?
Are we ready to? Yeah. I think we can get into the discussion portion here.
I know I have some on here that are some games on here that are
Going to be controversial
to us too.
To us too. Okay.
You guys aren't going to be friends with me.
I have a feeling I know one of Keegan's.
2 on here, I feel like you guys are going to be upset about. 1 you might be upset about.
Okay.
I'm already upset.
All right. So we'll let our guest today, our new person. I'm not looking. Start with your number 3.
My number 3? I did 5.
Yeah, I thought we were doing 5.
Oh God, I only have 3. Okay.
Well, you have one of my honorable mentions.
No, I mean I have an honorable mention on mine, but
I have
go ahead.
Several. So I looked at, for my list, first I just thought of games that you guys make me play, or other people like are like, this is the best game ever, and I go, I'll play it, or I hate it, or
I didn't think you were going to be able to come up with many, just because I never hear you say that you don't like a game.
I like most of the games on here. I just think they're overrated.
Okay.
Most of them. So I looked at the list, BGG, and I kind of went through the top 300 or so, probably. I think all of the ones I wrote down are in the top 100.
Okay.
But for like some of them, so some of the games on there I was like, I think this game's overrated, but I get why it's on there. Like,
Okay.
maybe this isn't a game I think that deserves to be like top 100 games of all time on BGG, but it's like, it's got a family appeal, or it's got something that I'm like, okay, I can see why it's rated up so high. Like, but, so my number 5 would be at number 92 on BGG.
Dang, you even got the numbers where they're, okay.
Dominion.
Dominion. Okay.
I just think that they're like, I know people who are like obsessed still with Dominion. And
Yeah.
I think it's a good game, and I get that it was like, I think it was pretty genre breaking deck builder at the time, but like,
It was the first deck builder.
yeah, but like, we've improved on the deck builder, I feel like. And like, I mean, I feel like even Clank is like so much more fun to play because it's got a deck builder, it's got satire, and it's got the map portion and the like trying to escape, and it just adds more tension. And like, I like the people that I know play Dominion like religiously, and then it's not even like they have like 20 expansions, and they've memorized all the best combos, and like, I just know I'm playing for second or third, like, which is fine, but I think it's a great game, and I get why it's high, but I feel like there are way better deck builders out there than Dominion, so Dominion's my number 5.
Okay. I can't speak too much to it. I haven't played it.
You never played Dominion?
No.
Oh.
I've watched people play it. It never intrigued me enough to want to go out and explore
It's fun,
the whole thing, but yeah, like you said, there's probably other better deck builders that.
well, and especially too with a lot of like older games, like if they have like 20 expansions like Dominion does, it's like that's overwhelming to even get into. So it's like that's why I don't get why it's so, in one sense, so high, because like there's so much content there. It's like, where do you even start? I guess you could like look up a review of like what are the best 5 expansions or something like that. But at that point, it's like I don't even want to dive in, because it's like you have to dive into the deep end to like, because I'm a completionist, so I'll be like, I want to buy all of it, and there's no way I want to buy all of Dominion.
Yeah, no, I've seen people selling it, and it's an extraordinary amount of money to get all of those.
And
Like, it's the same reason why I'm not getting into LCGs, is because anytime I find out about an LCG, I'm already like 2 cycles away, like out of it, and I want to retroactively buy 2 cycles of stuff, not to mention duplicates of expansions to like have a perfect deck, where when you deck build with it, I can't get invested in card games anymore.
Yeah,
and it's hard to get people even like I've thought about looking into like the Arkham horror, Arkham whatever ones, and it's like, yeah, like trying to, even those games, it's like there's so much. It's like, I've never played it, so I'm not saying that one's the overrated, but there's just it's too much, and that's good for the people that are into it, I assume. But unless I can get down on the ground floor of like when it's starting or being rebooted, then yeah, there's just no way I'm gonna even try to start.
Agreed. Totally agree.
All right. Well, oh God, I gotta think of my other 2 then to add to this list. I thought 5 with 3 of us was gonna be a lot. It was gonna be a long video, but
Well, if you want to think more, I have mine.
yeah, go ahead. I mean, I think I know what my 5 is. I guess Spirit Island will hit that list of number 5. I mean, I've now played it maybe 4 times, 3 times or so with you, once with Dan. And I don't know, it just every time it never felt really challenging. I'm not one for co-op games, and I'm just, it's not a game that I ever offer to pick up and play. And yeah, I think it just feels, with people seem to really like it a lot, like really love it, and I'm just like, it's not. Go buy it, did you just say? No, I can't do, like, I did it with you a few times, and I don't even really want to care to explore the other like factions. I'm just like, all right, I get it. It's the same thing. We can pretty much. We all pretty much have played enough that we synergize it enough that we can pretty easily do it.
Not with the adversaries, though. Did you play with the adversaries?
I think we played, the first time I played, we played with adversaries.
The cool thing about that game is you can up the difficulty, like notch it up, like exponent. Like there's so much modification you can do to it. Like that's one of the few games that I'm like, I'll pull out now that I've got an organizer, and like I want to do it solo. Like I'll even play just by myself because it's like that good. So I disagree.
No.
Because I got it new and shrink for $30. And I never got it out to play it, so I ended up selling it because I knew that, like, I know that you have it, Max, and Dan has it, so if I would play with someone, it would be with you guys anyway. And, like, my wife and I were going to play at one point, too, but we kept playing other stuff, and it's just, like, it's never going to hit the table.
Right.
But I'm also kind of with Ryan, where, like, I'm not super into co-ops. I like, if I do play a co-op game, I like the games where it's semi-co-op, where you're doing something together, but there's still a winner at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're both going for, like, you're both having to do something in the game because you need to, but then in the end, one of you is still going to come out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's some definite, like, good complaints against Spirit Island. The ending of it, it's like there's all this tension. The ending can definitely feel a little of a letdown. It's like, oh wait, we won.
yeah,
like,
there was a
that's
couple
big
games
complaint.
that when we played with Aiden, yeah, it was just like, oh, we're done. That was it.
Or you flip a card over and you lose.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, we lost. Like, and there was nothing to prevent it. That was my last game I played of it. It was literally,
that
we
feels
flipped. It was
so
like,
bad.
bam, 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 cascade. Oh, we just lost an hour and a half of our time. But it was an enjoyable hour and a half to me. So I get it if it's not your thing. Like, that game is definitely going to be drag. Because it can get long.
And it just feels like a lot of those factions just could be really fiddly and just a little over the top, and I don't know. So that's my 5. My number 5.
Right.
Keegan?
Well, my number 5, I have to say, like what Max said, I out of the games on this list, my number 5 is the only one that I like, but I think it's overrated.
Okay.
And it's Gloomhaven.
Interesting. Okay.
There's some caveats to this.
I thought about putting that on.
It's overrated. I do not think it should be number 1 on the BGG top 100 list.
No.
I disagree with that.
I agree with you there.
Just because I feel like a game that should be number 1 should be something that's, like, not necessarily only for gamers. Like, it should be something that's relatively accessible to people, and it's just like it's built like its reputation, and it has something that's like something that it can stand on, which Gloomhaven does at this point, but I don't think it should be number 1 anymore. And we already know that when Frosthaven comes out, it's the only game that's going to replace it. Which is also why Gloomhaven's a caveat, because my main complaint with it is I like the game, but the setup time is so damn long, and there's so many components and things where, like, Jaws of the Lion, this should have been the map in the first place, just having a book with the maps in it, and that's it. You open the page and there's your map and you're done. Like, the map tiles are just, like, so fiddly and frustrating to me.
I'm surprised that Jaws of the Lion didn't overtake Gloomhaven.
I know, Jaws of the Lion's great. Like, it's a great introduction to the game. It doesn't make you insanely overwhelmed with all the rules up front. It doesn't give you a dungeon that you're pretty much going to lose the first time you play, unless you do really well and, like, talk through everything. But, like, Gloomhaven gives you a first dungeon. Like, if you lose the first dungeon in Jaws of the Lion, you did something real weird. So it gives you kind of a stepping stone. In a way, Jaws of the Lion is almost like a video game, where it gives you, like, here's a mechanic, and here's how you use it in this environment. And the next level, here's a new mechanic, and here's how you combo with what you previously learned in this new environment. And then with Frosthaven coming out, I like with Frosthaven that you actually have to upgrade the town rather than just finding locations to stick on the board, being like, now I can go here. I think Frosthaven's going to add more. It's going to be great for people that love Gloomhaven. It might be a good... I don't know if you necessarily have to play Gloomhaven versus play Frosthaven, but I do think Jaws of the Lion is just better.
Yeah.
Just because of how well it introduces you to the game as a whole.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, I definitely think it's, I'm shocked at how high it is too. And, like, especially how much money, like, Frosthaven made, like, on the Kickstarter. Like, how many people I know who, like, kicked it or, like, buy the game who don't even play board games. Like there's a couple I know who are serious WoW fans.
Yeah.
And they're in that, and they don't really play board games, but they bought Jaws of the Lion and they play it together as a couple.
And I'm sure that's probably a reason that's helping it stay number one, because it isn't like you said, it isn't necessarily just board game people playing it, where it might be people who like more role-playing games too, right? And then has overlap of board gamers, keeping it pretty high. And then it just kind of has it has a lot to it. So people are like, I'm sure people are like, oh look, it's worth our money because it's so much. But then it's so much. Like you said, Keegan, there's just that time to set it up.
If you have like a dedicated gaming table that you can have it set on, and then if you have like an overlay for your table that makes it like a regular table, then we get that, because then you can just leave the game out and just have it ready for next time you want to play. But we got it. We lived in a studio apartment and we had to play on the floor.
Oh,
so,
that's
like,
brutal.
Getting it out, getting it set up, and then getting it put away after we played 4 hours is like such like a day.
Yeah, we would. I put it away, but I organized it really well, and I had like especially having come from Descent Second Edition, like, and having to organize all that, I like knew that this was something I would, if I wanted to keep getting to the table and convincing everybody to play. I was also the guy that would go 15 minutes early and set up and tell everybody to be there. Oh, be there at 7. I'd show up at 6:45 and set up everything, and I would run all the maps, and I was like but like, so for my thing for it though is I don't think I've ever gotten more money's worth out of a game than Gloomhaven. I mean, I've played it for like seriously a year and a half. I probably played 200 hours worth of Gloomhaven. That's probably the game I've played the most of ever. For $80, I think I got it for $90. Like, that's insane. And not just me, 3 other people, because we played it 4-player with my group. Like, so and like the amount of thought that went into the game, to me, like, that's why I didn't put it on my list for overrated. Is like, I mean, it's definitely up there, maybe close to being overrated to me, but like, it works so well. Like, the guy obviously thought through the monsters in the rooms, and how like when you open up a door and the monsters come out, it's like the archers stand back and shoot at you and these guys run forward. Like, it's definitely like, it wasn't like he just slapped together a scenario. I mean, maybe some of them are, because there's 99 of them, but I usually felt like the scenarios were like hard fought and thought out, and like it wasn't like he just threw slimes and different stuff in there. Like, they actually comboed together and the rooms made sense, and like I felt like he really designed it, and like there was just so much content in that game that was like, it earned it to me. I don't know if it should always be number 1 or whatever, but it's got to be dethroned eventually, probably. But
I guess we'll see.
It was that game is so good.
Okay, well, let's go on to your number 4, Max.
Did you do your number? Oh yeah, you did Spirit Island. I can't. I forgot it so that we could still be friends. All right, my number 4.
Nemesis.
No, Nemesis is not on there. Nemesis is an honorable mention.
Interesting. Okay.
Number 4, I used to own. Ryan still owns, and it's a good game, but it is at number 4 on BGG, and that is Terraforming Mars. Is not the number 4 game. like, no. Like, it's a great game, but it's like 3.5 hours long.
I'll agree that it's not 4, but that's what I love about it. And I really like how, like, the fact that it is long and you really get to feel like you're building up this engine. Whereas, as much as I love, say, Wingspan, you kind of get going and the game's over. I love it, but I really love Terraforming Mars because I get to really feel like I'm getting into this engine and like actually trying to figure out all these cards, how do I combo things, and get this going, and it doesn't just end pretty quickly.
Yeah, I guess it just overstays its welcome for me. Like, and I like long games. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for that one, like with Wingspan, I guess you could. There are two things about that. Is like, if Gloomhaven, gosh, need more coffee. If Terraforming Mars looked like Wingspan, would it even be higher, or like would I like it more? And also, I also, my thing with Terraforming Mars is I don't have the Prelude expansion, but I heard the Prelude expansion really adds some things to the front end of the game to make it a little bit faster, so it's not quite as long, but it still is really good. But then that comes into games where it's like you have to buy expansions just so that the base game is good. And I think, I've done that, but that's not preferable. It's kind of lame that, like, games like Viticulture or even Feast for Odin. Feast for Odin was good, but the expansion definitely, I would say that's one of the top games. Like, if you're gonna get the expansion because it fixes a lot. You don't have to, but it's like Terraforming Mars, where it's like it's just too. It's like there has to be an in between to me. Like, I get the same thing I get from Terraforming Mars with Wingspan, and it's a way better looking game. And
I don't get the same.
I guess I don't need it to be 3 hours long.
I've never felt like it ever went on too long. I was like, I'm getting this engine going. I'm like I'm building up. I'm
How many players were you playing it though? 3 or 4 players. That game is a long
maybe
time.
3 players. Will we play? 3 players, 4 players.
3, yeah, I don't know if we played it 4. I've played it. I think I played it 3 and 4. And 4
I've never felt it being too long. I've always enjoyed how long it was.
Well, and it's a great game, but number 4.
I agree. Maybe not number 4. There are some really good games, but for an engine builder.
You have
really
20 other games on your shelf that deserve to be higher than number 4.
But it's high. I would agree it's high.
It's not even like that. Like, it's pretty random. I mean, like, just like Wingspan. It is an engine builder, but a lot of it depends on the cards you get. Like, there's definitely.
But it's so, that's what I like, that it lasts long enough that you do have that ability to start comboing other things and have that chance to build up, where Wingspan, can come down to really what you draw, because it's such a short game that I don't really get that full feel really cool engine builder feeling.
Yeah, I don't think that there's so many cards in Terraforming Mars. I don't think it's super bad. It's fairly balanced, but to play a game that long, I don't know. It's just it's a good game, but number 4.
I'm in the same camp with Max. I think that game overseas is welcome.
Damn you both.
You think it's boring?
Okay.
It's just ugly.
It's not giving me anything. I want a game to grab me when I'm playing it. Something about it pull me in, and nothing about Terraforming Mars pulled me in. But it might also be because I'm not a huge fan of space themed games. I don't care too much for it. But even then, I agree. I think Terraforming Mars is ugly.
I was I'd say this is the very few space-related ones that I actually like. I'm not a fan of the space either. But
you liked On Mars, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Very few.
I almost put...
On Mars looks amazing.
It does look amazing.
I almost put Vitella Serta just...
Overrated.
All games overrated, but I haven't played enough of them, so I have to get a couple
and
more.
that's the end of that video. We're done here.
A couple more Vitella Serta games under my belt before I give that opinion.
The one game of On Mars was fantastic. I loved it.
Lisboa, I never want to play again.
At Lisboa. Okay, we'll talk about that later, but that'll have to be another discussion because All right, Keegan, you're number 4.
My number 4 is
Splendor.
Yeah. It's a good gateway game, but I never want to play it again. Put it in a trade, played it once, and with my wife, and we were both like, just like Terraforming Mars, does nothing for me. We played Splendor, and then I think the next day we played Century Golem.
Yep.
And we were both immediately like, this feels a little bit like Splendor, but better.
Yeah. I think we all agree on that one. Yeah.
100%.
Building an engine, you're trying to get things together to buy other things, and it just feels better. It looks nicer. The poker chips and stuff are really nice in Splendor, but not much else to say about it. Good gateway game, but I never want to play it again.
I got Splendor and Century Spice Road. I didn't have the Golem edition. And I played Splendor. I was like, this is really fun. And I played it a couple more times. I was like, this is a little long, but it's still pretty fun. And then I played Century Spice Road, and I was like, I'm selling Splendor. And I still have Century Spice Road.
Yeah. You still have Golem.
Yeah. I wish I had Golem. I didn't get Golem because they said that they weren't going to do all of them in Golem. And I was like, well, I want to get all of them. And then I got the second one. And then I looked at the third one, was like, I don't want that. And so then I sold the second one, and now I'm like, now I need to get Century Golem. Because I like the what is the second one? It's like not New World, but Eastern Wonders.
Eastern Wonders.
It's pretty good, but I'd still think I'd rather play the Century Golem or Spice Road over any of the other two.
Yeah, see that one now. That one is very clearly a very quick engine builder, and it's made that way. So I don't need to feel that long build up of an engine builder because it's just this is quick. You're doing things really quick. Whereas where you get Wingspan, it's a bit longer and starts to give you that more of an engine builder as it takes longer to do it, but then just stop short. But then Terraforming Mars gives me that feeling of a longer engine builder that I like.
What is Splendor still rated at?
I don't know.
I'm looking it up.
But while you look that up, my number 4, it was my number 3, but then I changed it. It's One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Oh.
I know everyone that plays the deduction games but isn't really into board games will always say like, oh yeah, they really love this Ultimate Werewolf. And I played quite a few different social deduction games, and of all of them, I think it's the worst of them. I think it's really fiddly. I think that's the Ultimate Werewolf. It's the one with all the different roles and like all the different roles that someone can be, right? And yeah, and it never felt like you really get into those roles really mattered, or it just felt fiddly. It felt there wasn't that same kind of interaction between players that you get with like Resistance or Secret Hitler, that just simply do that social deduction better without having to, like, it just doesn't have all those different roles that kind of make it a little more convoluted and I guess you call fiddly, right?
I looked into buying it, but I never got it because it was like, I think, the Resistance or Secret Hitler it was like, oh, these games are obviously better.
Yeah. like they go ahead, Keegan.
I agree that they're better, but I still have One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and that's the game I like because I took it to our work Christmas party last year. We played it as a team.
Yeah.
I like the game just because it does play in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You can play it, you shorten it to 7 if you want. You can make it as fast as you want it to make it, and it's just a great, like, let's play a game together. I can teach it to you in 3 minutes. We can do a round of it, and every time I've taught it to a group of more than like 5 people, and after we end it, to me, like, can we play one more time? And I like that it is chaotic and fiddly because that leads to more yelling at each other, and I like that in an deduction game with like the yelling and trying to like determine who's who. Like,
But
I still think it's a lot of fun.
But see, like, when we played it, we had a lot of yelling at each other, but it was more so like getting some of those roles just fucked up, or just it wasn't really like actually trying to figure out who is who. It just became a how do I describe it? Just kind of argue, like a clusterfuck, basically, of just somebody maybe not understanding their role properly, or just one of the roles, or like one roller wasn't there, so it kind of like threw off some of the balance that was going on, and it just playing like Resistance or Secret Hitler. People have wanted to say they wanted to play another round, but there's just it provides a lot more of discussion within the group, and a lot less kind of arguing with each other, just trying to figure out what's going on rather than actually like trying to actually deduce who is who.
The focus was more on the arguing as opposed to the arguing that's supposed to be inside of the game. It was more arguing about the game than within the confines of the games that we were doing.
Yeah.
To be fair, those games are also longer.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about putting Secret Hitler on mine. Well, I get why, like, in just those deduction games in general, because I wonder if there's a shelf life. I mean, I know people who will just play them over and over and over and over again. I feel like my best games of Secret Hitler are behind me, in so much as like I was able to convince a table full of people that like a 13-year-old was a liar and they killed him, and the look of sheer like betrayal and horror as an adult was convincing a bunch of other adults that he was a lying fascist. Like, I don't know that I'm ever gonna get that again, but maybe. So I didn't put it on there.
Okay.
But I also understand why werewolf is still in the sense of like, some people find Secret Hitler theme-wise problematic.
But the theme is stop Hitler.
I know,
it's
but
kill Hitler and stop Hitler.
I
so
know, but yeah. I get why. Like when I think I saw that was pretty high up there on the list, and I was like, really? But I guess like I can kind of understand, but I agree. I think there's better ones out there. Sorry, Keegan. Get rid of your game.
For like a quick deduction game, I thought
I'm
was
just
that game.
Yeah, I'd still rather play something like Cryptid even.
But that's okay. It's a little bit different type of game, but yes.
Solving.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, yes, I'd play Cryptid
not as arguey.
over one night.
But it doesn't play as many people either.
Number 3.
My number 3? What do I have here? I forgot my list. Number 3, I bought and played half of. It is number 2 on Board Game Geek.
Okay, I'm trying to remember.
Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Oh, we're going to have some leftover here.
Because I like Pandemic all right. I bought Pandemic Legacy and I played it with my, before COVID, I played it with my Gloomhaven group, and we played about halfway through it and stopped for some reason. I think we were trying to take breaks in between Gloomhaven and kind of keep like just so we didn't burn out, and we never even went back to it. Like we just it just felt like Pandemic with little tweaks, or like Pandemic with, and like there's so many versions of Pandemic. If I wanted to get Pandemic with some tweaks and stuff like that, like I would just get Pandemic Iberia or Pandemic Fall of Rome, and I think it's fun. I think it's good. I get what they're trying to do, and I get like it was one of those beginner, I think, legacy games. But like I was like promised this like almost Gloomhaven-esque experience, and like I feel like Gloomhaven has more like thought put into it and more variability and more stuff that you unlock in like one character box than all of Pandemic Legacy Season 1. like it adds like a little bit to each game, but like Gloomhaven, you unlock a character and they have a special ability, they have a deck of cards, they interact with everybody differently, their magic, the way they just like everything is like changes stuff, whereas like Pandemic Legacy was like, I mean I don't want to get into spoilers, but it was like you could unlock a new character and it like had maybe on ability, or you might put a sticker on that affected like your one. It just like I get people who are looking for Pandemic and want more, but like number 2, no way.
Yeah.
No way. Like that's not even. That's like if that's number 2, then Gloomhaven is like on the moon, like a higher, because like it's just way. Those two aren't even comparable, like in scale of like what you get inside of it and replayability and like. Like Pandemic's all right, and I get it adds some variability, but there's just no way that's the number 2 board game. Like, that's a bunch of garbage. Like, it's not that good. Do you like Pandemic, Keegan?
We'll just go to my number 3. My number 3 is Pandemic.
No, my number 3 is Pandemic.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How is it the number 2 board game?
I don't. It's not. It's.
No, my number 3 is base game Pandemic.
Oh,
Yeah,
just base
no,
game Pandemic.
that's mine's
okay.
base game Pandemic too.
With the caveat of if you're going to play Pandemic, just play Pandemic Legacy, like Season 1, and then don't play Pandemic ever again.
Yeah, well, and I just was like, why? I picked
funny
Pandemic
shit.
Legacy because it was number 2. Like I looked at number 1 Gloomhaven, I was like, I guess it's overrated, but it kind of just like it's. And then Pandemic Legacy Season 1, I was like, what? Like
I went.
That's still sitting on my shelf, half done for over a year, and I'm just gonna throw it away.
Yeah.
Like I have no reason to go back to it.
I always pick Pandemic because like especially with people who don't play a whole lot of board games, always like Pandemic. And I'm like, no, I played it once. I'm like, and I don't need to. I'm good. It's not that great. It didn't excite me. It didn't. Go ahead.
If you're going to play Pandemic, just get Legacy and play with a group of people that like maybe are not heavy gamers or like early in their gaming like hobby, because that I think Legacy 1 does give, for people that aren't heavy in the games yet, maybe can seem overwhelming.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Giving them Pandemic Legacy, which is like, hey, this is a game where like we can play this board game once because it gets infected permanently. Cool idea for people who don't know about it. And Pandemic is such an easy game to wrap your head around that you can easily play Legacy and get you like, wow, that was a good overall experience, and then you never worry about playing Pandemic ever again because you got everything you want out of the Legacy box and you're done.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like that almost even in itself defeats the idea of Pandemic. It's like, I just want to play a quick 20-minute cooperative game, then that's why you play Pandemic. But even then, play Horrified. It's got a better theme. It looks nicer. It's a beautiful game. I feel like there's less quarterbacking, and since it doesn't take itself so seriously, not that Pandemic takes itself super seriously, but since it's so light, there's like, you can just let people take their turn.
Yeah.
Like, whereas the Pandemic, I always feel like somebody at the table is going, no, do this. No, you're doing that wrong. No, you do this, and you do this, and you do this.
I was going to say the same thing. I was like, there's definitely an alpha. Like Pandemic is definitely open to leading to an alpha player, especially if it's new players playing with somebody who's already played before. They easily could go into that role, and then it really just becomes those other players just following along. Cause like, oh, this person knows this game. Oh yeah, I agree. That sounds like a good idea.
That was my first game of Pandemic Legacy. I played it at the Dice Dojo with somebody. He was like, hey, what are you doing? You want to play a game? I was like, sure. And he pulled out Pandemic. I was there to buy paints for Warhammer, and I'd never played Pandemic, and I basically watched him play 2 players. He asked my opinion on a couple things, but I was just like, I don't know. You seem to know what you're doing better than me. Why am I just like, let's do that. But like, I even feel like Horrified is like just like monster movie Pandemic, but I feel like it's like, I guess it could be comparable. Like you could do that in that too, but I just feel like it doesn't happen. It's just lighter and fluffier. That it's just like you don't feel the need to do that. It's just fun. Get away from the monster, destroy the monster. Like
I haven't played Horrified, but I would choose to go and play Horrified over Pandemic. It seems like a more fun theme, less serious. Where you may not get that alpha player.
Or even go play Spirit Island. Like that's a better cooperative game than Pandemic.
I agree that Spirit Island's a better cooperative game.
It's longer though.
I think Pandemic also is very card draw reliant.
Yeah.
You can 100% in that game like just get screwed on your entire game because of the way the deck is set.
That's what Aiden said when I told him my list. He said Pandemic would be in his list because you can lose the game through no fault of your own. You can just flip the wrong cards over. I think one of our games in the thing, we flipped like 3 or 4 cards over and lost. Like there was just 3 or 4 turns into the game. We just like, maybe it wasn't even that many. Maybe it was only 2. Maybe somebody hadn't even taken a turn yet. I can't remember what it was, but it was like brutal. And it was like, there was nothing we could have done. There was no, and that was in Legacy, but like there was no escaping it. It was just, you are going to lose this game.
I hate that. Okay. Yeah, those are why usually that's why these 2 like cooperatives, Spirit Island, Pandemic are up there. And like sometimes it's just you get screwed and you're like, well, that just does not feel good for a board game.
Well, the one nice thing about Spirit Island, no, I'm just going to keep praising it, is that you're so focused on your own thing because the game is quite complicated most of the time, unless you're doing like the base spirits, that it's hard to quarterback. That's why when I say with cooperative games, I would choose that one because I've never played a game of it or seen a game where someone's like, well, what you need to do is this, this, and this. Usually it's people asking like, help me figure out what to do. Let's do this together because I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, I definitely will agree on
that's
on
why
that.
I think it's better. But so that was all our number 3s?
That was all our number 3s. Pandemic are on the board.
I'll do my number 2 really quick.
Okay.
I brought up already.
Oh,
okay.
Terraforming Mars.
This is me. God, it's such a great one, and it sucks because I would want to play it more.
I'll still play with you. I like it. I like it. I just don't love it. And you have games, and I have games that I would rather play, and that's why I ended up. I mean, I drove to Madison, Wisconsin to go pick it up because there was a good deal, like a great deal with an expansion and an insert, and I went and picked it up, and I played it a bit. Yeah. But I just was like, I can sell this and get 3 other games I love, as opposed to keep this one game that is 3 hours that I like.
Keegan's very much against it.
Now, if any of you guys are really going to game night, like, hey, let's play Terraforming Mars. I'm like, I'm gonna go play like 4 solo games or something else.
There's also one other game that I may guess is your number 1, but we'll see. When we get to that,
we'll get to it. All right. Ryan, you do your number 2.
My number 2. One that you guys both like. Oh, I think Keegan likes it. Quacks of Quedlinburg. Nope, that is...
It's overrated?
It's super overrated. It is... So the one time that I played it, I dominated.
Shocker.
But that's not even like a... But shocker, I got lucky. I purely got lucky that I drew so well throughout that whole game, and I did really well. It didn't feel good.
Really?
I wasn't excited. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I destroyed you guys, but I destroyed you because I got lucky.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot.
And it's such a...
Knowing that the game is basically gambling.
Yeah, and I know, but then they bring in this whole like strategy that you can build into it, but strategy can be completely useless in that game. It could just be, you could literally just take blind draw things into your deck and you still could win. It's just pure luck. And I'm like, nope, it's for the silly game that it is. The fact that I was like I did so well, it really wasn't that fun.
I wonder if you need to... You've only played it once?
I've only played it once.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of variability, and I don't think it's like it's obviously not the most strategic game in the world, but it, when games are like, I mean, the game name is Quacks of Quedlinburg. It doesn't take it. So when it's not like if the game was trying to dress itself up as if it was like a Vitel Lacerda game or like an Uwe Rosenberg game, and then was that, I'd be mad. But when it is showing you like this is like just rolling dice.
But people like really love the game, and I remember
it's fun to watch everybody. It's fun to watch your friends' pot blow up in their face, and like that's why we play it.
I mean that's fun. Yeah, it's funny sometimes, and it just blows up on them.
Maybe you just felt bad.
I just felt like it's just overrated for what it like. Yeah, it's just this silly, ridiculous game that you're just drawing randomly, but it's not as highly, I don't think it should be as high. Like people are like, I love this game. This is something like, this is just a fun little game that whatever. It's just another game that you play quickly or whatever with friends if you're just kind of not really wanting to like really think in a board game. You're just one day you're just like, let's just play whatever. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. That's that type of game. But people really like it at Gen Con 2 years ago when the expansion came out, people were like lined up and like ran to the booth, and I'm like, okay guys, it's not there's some other, we're at Gen Con right now, and there's some amazing other things to run to right now, and I'm like, whatever.
That's one of the games I was hoping, like, told you, like, if you can get this for me and things are running short and lights, go get the Quacks.
Yeah. Oh, I tried to for you. Yeah, I tried to for you, but I lined up pretty early, but there were still people ahead of me and just like bolted to the line. I'm like, Jesus.
I wonder if it's because it's. I mean, it's not like the most beautiful game, but it does have a fun look to it. But I wonder if it's because it's family friendly. Like you're pulling shits from a bag. Like it lends itself to younger.
Yeah.
But I do know. I mean, most people I know are like Scott. Scott really. I mean, like I like it. It's not my favorite game, but I'll play it. Like because it doesn't take that long. If it took like an hour and a half, I wouldn't be down. But Scott really likes it, so.
We should keep moving. We're gonna talk here forever on these. What's your number two?
My number two is number 28 on BGG. 28, and that is Food Chain Magnate. Game sucks. Are we talking about games that suck or games that are overrated? No, it doesn't suck. I get why people like it. I feel like the beginning of it, there's basically two strategies to do. You either go one way or the other.
That's why I hate it so much.
And then it's like you kind of build off of there, but you're kind of doing a similar thing every round, and it's ugly. And I like ugly games. I like games that I like the way Castles of Burgundy looks. It's ugly, but there's a charm to it. There's no charm to Food Chain Magnate. I could draw better maps and tiles than Food Chain Magnate. It is ugly.
So mad right now.
It is ugly. The menus are cute. Like how you look at the menus. I don't even think they provide you enough with each player, though. I think like you have to like print your own off, or I can't remember. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I was so mad the first time I played it. Jonathan was like, "No, you really should go this route." I'm like, "What? I don't want to be pinned into like starting a certain way." With like, this is such a huge board game, like with a lot of different variabilities on how you could build this. But you have to go one of two ways.
Yeah.
Or you will be left behind if someone else does those. I'm like, cool.
See, I love Food Chain Magnate. I do agree that base game does feel like you have to take a certain route, but the expansion has, which I know we hate the whole idea of expansions fixing a game, but you like terraforming Mars, you need prelude.
And Feast Road needs Norwegians. Well, it should have it.
Exactly, and then Food Chain Magnate with its expansion, it changes the milestones around where there's 3 or 4 milestones that after turn 2 no one gets them anymore. So you have to like dedicate, like, do I want to go this route so I get this benefit for the rest of the game? Do I want to go this route so I get this benefit for the rest of the game? Because after your second turn, they're all going to be gone.
Yeah.
And you legit can't get 2 because your first turn you have to recruit the thing you want to get that milestone. So it does become more of like, I'm going to take this route this time because it's overpowered. I see like someone taking this other route, which I don't need to do now, so I'm going to take this opposite one.
But
it does into that.
But Food Chain Magnate is also like a $90 game or something like that, isn't it?
It's expensive.
And the expansion is like $90. So to be able to play the game the way it should be, I have to spend $180 to like, or if I get like a good deal, like $150, which well, once again, like Feast for Odin is a similar thing, but comes with like an insane amount more stuff. Like I do not understand why Food Chain Magnate is that expensive.
Well, Feast for Odin also has a giant publisher behind it, whereas Splatter is 2 guys.
Right. Oh, I forget. Yeah, it's a Splatter game. Yeah.
So, and they do everything on their own and out of pocket. So they have to upcharge just to compensate what they're spending on it personally. So
Yeah, I get that. I did not. I've played it 2 or 3 times, and each time I'm like the beginning's boring. It's kind of rote. Like you have to go of the 2 routes because I haven't played the expansion, and then it's another one of those games. It's like if you haven't played it 25 times, you're gonna lose no matter what. And it's not like you're gonna lose by 2 points. You are going to be utterly destroyed. And I don't mind winning or losing, but I just don't get why that. Like I guess I don't get the mindset of how that's fun for like the person who's played it 150 times, because the people who play Food Chain Magnate play Food Chain Magnate like Dominion, and it's like yeah, like I mean, I guess they're trying to get people in the game so that hopefully they'll play it 150 times and then they'll have a competitor. But games like where like unless you're playing it with a group that's all virgins to Food Chain Magnate and like has never played it before, like that's probably the best way to do it. But I've always played it with people who've played it like a million times, and I'm like, how is this even like? There's no competition here for you. like I'm like a 5-year-old playing chess with my dad, and like that's what it feels like. Like I'm barely like staying afloat in the water, and they're like a cruise ship just like plowing me over. I just I get why I get why people, there's a certain, I know you like Splatter games, and there's obviously a market, there's obviously people that like it, but that is one game I'm just like, how is this as popular as it is?
Yeah.
I got 2 Splatters in my top 10.
Oh, I apologize.
Not as good as it seemed made out to be.
Well, wait till you guys hear my number 1. So.
Keegan, number 2, go. We're already at an hour.
You ready?
Did you? Oh.
What's your number 2?
Terraforming Mars, your garbage game.
That's right. I did my 2, was Quack. So number 1. Keegan, what's your number 1?
Scythe.
I knew it! Damn it, I knew it! That's what I was going to say. I knew it was Scythe, and I hate you for that.
It looks good, but man, that game is boring as all get out. If any game feels scripted, I feel like Scythe feels scripted in the beginning of the game because you are very locked into the region you're in. It's cool that you can vary like the faction with like the board, like that's cool, but I just don't want to play it. Like I feel like the combat's in there for no reason. Like I know that initially Jamie's design he felt like the combat was up front, and so he took it a lot back.
Mm-hmm.
But a game with giant mechs in it, it looks like it should be a battle game, but the fights barely ever happen.
Yeah. I do agree with you on that. There's people really only fight to like end the game and get their last few stars, but I think, and maybe I'm pretty biased on this because that was one of the first games that got me into heavier board games and everything. So, and I just have always really enjoyed it each time because I always like, I don't play the same factions each time, and I just kind of like trying a little bit of a different strategy on how I play them and see what's going on, and it definitely, it allows for you to, you can play it a lot of times and try out different strategies with each one.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just for me personally, like I think it's just, I don't know. I just feel like it's really boring. I don't
Yeah,
like it.
I get.
It's nice, but that's about it.
I get people's complaint. I really like it, but I think a giant reason why it was so overrated is one of those expectations versus realities. I think a lot of people thought it's going to be this, and it like just was huge, and it had such cool artwork. And then when people got it, they were like, "Wait, this is how it plays." So I don't know if there was like, I think a lot of times now with Kickstarters and stuff, we have a bit more information about how the game's going to go. Not always, but a lot of times, like the rule book's out when the Kickstarter's out and stuff like that. I don't know if Scythe was like that because I think I started getting pretty serious into stuff either right when Scythe finished kickstarting or just. People were just getting their Kickstarters. I can't remember when I was.
Scythe was the most backed board game Kickstarter of all time.
But it
like made an insane amount of money.
But I just wonder if the rule book was out with it when it was being Kickstarter. What? Because I just remember so many people being disappointed. Like I thought it was going to be like all out fight with mechs, and or I thought this was going to be a Euro game, or I thought this. There was just so much hype for it, and then when it came out, everyone's like, it was just different than what everybody expected. So I totally get why, but I enjoy playing it, so it doesn't bother me. But I get why people are like, this game everybody talked about, everybody played, and it's got a lot of problems, like player count wise or different. Like it plays best at a certain count to different people, and I totally get you. I enjoy it. Yeah. But you really like food chain magnets, so your vote doesn't count.
I like
like driving down a white road to a white building to deliver a piece of pizza. Fun. I made a billboard on an airplane.
Put a guy in a field and get wheat and get this giant mech to carry him over a river.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. My number one.
Ooh, I get to go last.
You get to go last. You'll get to finish this up, Max.
Good.
It definitely feels more of like I'm just hating on this game rather than overrated, but Tiny Towns. I think it's an awful game. It just feels like a kid's game. Doesn't feel like this grand fun game that everyone really loves.
Wait till I make you play Calico.
God, do I? And it's I can stand it at lower player counts, at like 3 players. As soon as you add more than that, the game just gets destroyed. It's no longer this building up, like kind of strategically building up this little town. It becomes just pure luck at that point. It's a pure luck game of who's going to win. As you add the full player count, it's. I don't understand why it's so loved. It just it feels like something you'd play with your young kids.
You also hate spatial games, so.
But for a spatial game, as you add more players, it no longer becomes a spatial game.
Depends on the variant you play with, though. Too.
Yeah, there's a variant for 6.
Where one person gets to pick every turn what material everyone has to take. Then but there's a variant where everyone has to take the same. There's a set thing, and not every person gets to pick what material they want every round.
Yeah, there's cards that you flip for higher player counts, but because it plays up to 6.
But then that's still a random. Again, it just comes down to luck then.
It comes to how you build your town, I think.
But it's just luck then, right? It just
no. It depends on where you put your cubes.
You're placing your stuff in your town. If you messed up how you're mitigating your stuff, then it's your own fault. You can't come to luck at all, but you also have to not just place things randomly and hoping it's gonna work.
I mean, okay, yes, it's not as luck based as if you're just everyone picks the color that they want each time. Because when they do that, if you're waiting, if you have to pick, you just have to get told which one you're doing for 6 other turns before you, then it really just becomes luck on where someone's going to play it, because
I think when you play with the variant,
it gets completely and utterly screwed by people just keep picking random ones that you just have to play them down. You're like, I can't build this.
Right. Well, I think if you play with the right variant with the higher player count, I think it helps. But definitely like 3. If 4 can get a little long, but 3, even 2 players, it's a lot of fun. It's light. It like has a lot of variability in the base box, and it's fun to watch your friends screw up. That's the constant game of I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. And it's fun to watch your friends hit their head against the table.
Again, but for it's supposed to be in this like small, fun, pretty quick game. Larger player counts, it gets long and long. It's just like this is supposed to be quick. Let's go.
People can AP in that game. Like if you're not taking it so seriously, and it's like, I mean, you're like building a tiny town for critters and putting like.
But that's what it's supposed to be, right? But then people just take so long, and people
overthink it. Yeah. Like any game, people can. If somebody wants to take a 20-minute turn and like think of every single possibility where they put their cube, it's going to ruin it. But. Also, if you have new players, it takes longer to teach them. But if you've played with people who've played a couple times, it goes a little quicker. But I understand. Yeah. It's a great game.
Nope.
I'm going to make you play Calico, which you're going to hate just as much. Because that is really, really fun. You might like it a little bit more, but me and Aiden love it. So Aiden's going to come over and we're going to make you play it. Just so we can beat you.
So Max, give us the last one, your number one.
You guys got an idea?
I'm trying to think, because you recently told me a game you really didn't like, and I can't remember what it was.
You both.
Is it a Lacerda game?
No, you both like it a lot. It's probably in both of your top 5s.
Both of us?
It's overrated, though.
Gingopolis?
No, I don't think Gingopolis is overrated. I don't think anybody knows about that game.
Yokohama?
No. Root.
Oh,
Root. Number 31 on Board Game Geek. If that game had different art, if that game had the art of Terraforming Mars, no one would play it.
I don't know. I really love Root. Yeah. And the fact that it has the ability to like just keep adding different factions and allowing you to kind of change up some metas and play, it almost feels like they can be like competition based and like.
It almost feels too ambitious to me, though. Like, I think it's incredibly ambitious. I think it's a beautiful game. I think it is, and it's another one of those. If you've played it with people who've played it before, like you have to play that game with people who've played it before. And most times I've played it, it's either I've been having to relearn it because I haven't played it for 6 months, or I'm playing it with somebody who's never played it, and just the teach and the like, wait, what can I do? Or even yourself learning a new faction. You almost have to study the faction before you go into the game.
Yeah.
Because trying to learn the factions while playing is just a slog. And I feel like every time I play that game, somebody is relearning the game or something, and it takes so long. So yes, if you had the perfect conditions of all the players know the game, like the time when we played it at the lake house was the best when we played, because we played a couple games in a row.
Yeah.
I was able to look at the faction I knew I was going to be beforehand. But yeah, unless you're playing like an ideal situation where everyone knows the game and the faction that they're going to play, otherwise the game just becomes like it can just be a mess. And it's another one of those games where you have to players have to keep each other in balance. And so if somebody doesn't know the game and you're playing like a 4 or 5 player game and the birds aren't keeping the cats in balance and everyone's trying to tell them to do it, and they have a personality where like, don't tell me what to do, or I'm not going to do what you tell me to do, or I don't agree with you, or that's not what's best for me, even though I don't know the game, then that person's just going to run away with the victory. It has a synergy, which is a very interesting mechanic, and it's very interesting in the game if everybody knows it, of everybody trying to keep each other in a tight balance, but that can fall apart really quickly if someone doesn't understand the game or doesn't know the game. And there's just so much in that game. You kind of have to know how every faction plays, and that's a lot to hold in your brain, and that's a lot to me to expect new people to do.
But
and then it makes the experience unfun or really, really long for what the game is. I think it's a pretty game. I do think it's fun, but to me it overstays its welcome. And I think that if it was an ugly-looking Stephen Feld game, it would be like number 3,000. It would not be number 28.
I mean, okay, so it is very ambitious, but it does a great job on the ambition. It doesn't overdo itself. I don't think each faction is overly done. I think for the complexity of the game and what it wants to try to do, they're pretty balanced, and each one isn't super convoluted. And yeah, it isn't trying to make itself this either entry-level game or just casual game. I mean, it's pretty known more as a bit more serious, right? Like it's not trying to like be like you can come in and probably learn this quickly. Like everyone knows there's factions. Like each one is different, and each time they come out with new ones, right? Each one has something very unique to it, and I definitely isn't one of those that you just like, oh, let's all pick that. We've never played this. Let's all pick this up and think this. We're just going to just read the rules and get going right away. Like, I mean, people have said they wanted to play Root and understand like it's definitely a bit more of an evolved game.
I think people know that now. I think when it came out, that wasn't necessarily the case, because I remember people wanting to be like at Dice Dojo, like, this game, let's play. I've heard about this game. Like, no, because we will spend the next 2 hours of me teaching you this game. You have to go do your homework, and then we can go play this game. Like,
The theme is deceptive for sure. What the game is, and I love the theme of it though, so it all works for me. I think with the idea of it being too ambitious, I think Vast is a bit more
Yes,
Vast is even
one,
more
yes.
so.
too ambitious, and that one I feel like way more that game is a chore of teaching the puzzle as opposed to Root.
Yeah.
Well, I think with Root, my two things is I think if you're going to be competitive or be able to play it well, you have to know the factions that are in the game. If not all the factions, you have to know the ones that are at least playing in that game to be competitive. Which can be a lot, even if like because I play a lot of games, but even like me trying to I can't in Root I can't look at what you guys are doing for the most part. I have to focus on what I'm doing or what I'm doing. Otherwise, my turn's going to take 25 years. Or I have to derail the game and be like, now wait, what are you doing? What card did you? How are you doing that? Like, I feel like I'm always doing that in that game. And if I played the app, I think a bit now on my phone, I think I could catch up to you guys in it and like be a little bit more confident in playing it. But I just always feel like either I have to make suboptimal moves because I want to keep the game moving, or I just have to take a really, really long turn and it just slows the game down, and it's not. I don't know. I think it's a great game. I also have to say, to their credit, they at least are updating the factions too, as as playtesting keeps going on. Like, I think they fixed the lizards a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, and cats and
Woodland Alliance.
Yeah. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
To their credit.
So that's what I'm saying. With the ambition, they're able to keep doing that, which I think is why it's so, like, and that you can keep bringing out new factions, and even people have a whole bunch of like player-made ones, which is super awesome.
I just don't know that like if you look at a game almost even more like it's different, but it's got great art too. But like Unmatched is not anywhere near as high as Root. It's got great art. It's not as cute. I don't think it was pushed as heavily, but like I find Unmatched more fun than Root. I have more fun with Unmatched than I do playing Root.
See, but yeah, I don't know.
They're different.
They're different,
similar,
yeah, and I definitely. If I want to play a match, I want more of like an arena style. Yeah, and you're doing that. But with Root, I want like more of a. I'm putting a lot more strategy, different type of strategy into this. And
no, I think it's a great game. I don't know that it's number 28 great, in my opinion. I've said that about every game I've said, though. So I guess we'll have to make a max.
28 is pretty good. I think it's pretty good a number.
Board Game Geek. When I saw it at 28, I was like. I kept scrolling down. I kept seeing games like, I'd rather play this, I'd rather play this, I'd rather play this underneath it. And I was like, Plus you guys like it way too much. So.
All right. Well, those are our overrated / games we don't particularly like.
I want to applaud us for not naming Wingspan. Because that's in every over.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that's overrated. I think it's great.
I know we all like Wingspan. So.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us this week. We'll have another video coming out next week. We'll keep the topic a secret for now. Maybe little hints on Twitter. But Max, where can people find you?
People can find me
in Chicago. Great.
In Chicago, on Instagram at Chimmons, CHIMMONS. I'll try and post more board game stuff. Mostly it's just my kid. So if you see like pictures of a child, it's not me.
That kid that on you is not you.
It's my handsome boy. But I'll try and do some more board game related stuff now that we got this going.
Cool.
For all of our fans.
We're growing. It's really nice. Keegan, where can people find you?
On Instagram at FoxBoxGames. The Fox is spelled BOCKS because regular box was already taken.
Is that why?
That's why. And also I was into regular box, but then I backed the game on Kickstarter, and because I backed it at a certain level, they're printing a card with my Instagram name on it, so I can't change it anymore.
Okay, yeah.
That's rad. Well, you can't change it now that we have this either, so I'm stuck at Chimmons spelt wrong.
And you can find me on Instagram at ryan.gebi, Gebi. And we are Specular Board Games. Thank you for joining us this week, guys. Bye.
Bye, Keegan.
Bye.
See you Saturday morning.
That's right.
Or Friday night.
Yeah.